All right, nice and clean. Nice and clean. I like the way this looks, and we're live until 2 o'clock. Looking good. Yes, yes, yes. Folks, very special Facebook Live tonight. An update. Justice for Olivia coming up. That will be tonight at 7 o'clock. Yes, yes, yes. Give that to him. Yes. All right, folks, we're live on the radio in just un momento. Here we go. Yes, 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 yes. Well, good afternoon. Right now it is 12:06 on this Tuesday. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. It's AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I want to welcome everyone in for the noon report that we do. We simulcast on Facebook, also on Twitter, and then also on YouTube as well. Folks, it's the John DePetro Show. We do the noon report live, noon to 1. And then obviously also on the radio. You can share that you're watching on Facebook. Folks, this portion of the program, listen, it's going to be a nice week. Already, the wind seems to be dying down, as you just heard in the forecast. But what a great week to start working, if you haven't already, although outside in your property, with PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Annuals, perennials, trees, and shrubs. They are a full-scale nursery. Hanging pots. They have a beautiful selection. Folks, 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown. Look for them on Facebook. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Hanging impatiens, pansies, marigold bags, large selection, beautiful patio pots, vegetable plants, and herbs. Stop it and see Steve and Debbie and Junior and Byron. Tropical mandevillas, hibiscus plants, screen loom, mulch are available. Pickup and delivery. Mulch, dark pine, black hemlock, crushed stone. Full scale nursery, folks. Gift certificates are available. They're open 7 days a week. It's PR Landscape Materials and Garden Center. Stop it and see them. 3688 Quaker Lane in North Kingstown, right off of Route 4. Everything that you need. Now, I also want to put in a big plug right now on this sunny Tuesday at 12:07. If you're in the car, you could right now pop over to Ron's Pastry Gourmet for a great day. Ron's Pastry Gourmet, and folks, they have announced that unfortunately they will be closing. They will be closing coming up the second week of June. But in the meantime, fresh, delicious food. It's all good though. Ron's been doing this for a long time. They have a good offer on the building. Their business has been fabulous. You know, they already have, and I did post this on Facebook. They have the Ron Pastry Gourmet, 170 Royal Little Drive in Providence. They have the Trump 2024 donuts that they already have, which I think a lot people love. We'll see. We got a long way to go here, folks. But anyhow, Trump 2024 chocolate donuts, the Let's Go Brandon donuts as well, and then delicious calzones. So if you're hungry right now for lunch, they have delicious sandwiches, calzones. Just plug that in a GPS. Ron's Pastry Gourmet, 170 Royal Little Drive in Providence. Well, folks, good afternoon. What a 24 hours this has been as a result of our published op-ed in the Providence Journal. It has just caused a firestorm of activity regarding voting. And folks, we're not done yet. If you haven't seen this, it's posted on DePietro.com. Other media outlets are picking up on it. We also then obviously posted it on the Facebook page. Many reasons to question election integrity. And the thing about this that was done by design is I purposely used, and to their credit, but I used the Providence Journal's own story of that 2017 special election campaign where they paid a campaign worker $17 a vote to go out. She collected 230 votes. So they paid her $4,000, $17 a vote. Folks, and that was with a notary, by the way. Now, what they're going to be moving into is you don't even have to notarize. Now, that was one campaign worker, a special election in Newport, a small section of the state. So who was able to collect 230 votes compared to, they're not a mail ballot. You're only collecting people that are voting for the candidate that's paying for you. And then the candidate sees, okay, let's count them up, right? She brought in 230 times 17. We owe you $4,000. That's how it works. But with no notary needed, there's no reason to believe that 230 votes could easily be 2,300 votes. So it's a major problem, and maybe you haven't seen it yet, but the former head of the Board of Elections, who tends to be, he's a huge blowhard. This guy, anyone that he doesn't agree with is lying. But I posted it, his own words. He was reacting to it yesterday. Anyone that disagrees with him is a liar. This guy, you know, that was one of the best things Gina Raimondo did, was she flushed him out of there because he was very rude to former Providence Mayor Angel Tavares. But Blowhard Erickson, where he ran the Board of Elections, which is frightening. Excuse me. But he even put on Twitter, and I put it on the Facebook page, not citizenship. We never required proof of citizenship. Now, this isn't some kind of, by the way, I've heard that the Democrat Party, Nelly Gorbea, the whole crew, they are freaked about this because this guy, you know, this is what you call a political gaffe, when someone accidentally tells the truth. He is a blowhard. He is a loose cannon. You know, he would viciously attack Ken Block. This goes back, but for trying to just get basic answers. If you, and they're like that, by the way. If you question anything, they immediately, like, for instance, me yesterday, it's labeled dangerous to merely mention, gee, there seems to be some loopholes in our voting system. Boom. That's dangerous talk. It's a danger to democracy. I also have found, well, there's several different factions in this. Let me stay with the illegal thing for a while, because he unknowingly, unwittingly, this loudmouth blowhard, he confirmed, which is what I have been telling you for quite some time. And folks, I realize I've been a lone wolf on this. There's no one else in the media that has questioned this stuff. But there is the former head of the Board of Elections admitting not citizenship. We never required proof of citizenship. This plays into, which I illustrate in my op-ed that's on the website, depetro.com, which is, notice Nelly Gorbea, they always talk about eligible, quote, Rhode Islanders. They don't use the word citizens. And there he is, Captain Loudmouth, announcing that at the Board of Elections. Now, let's be honest, which we have to be, folks. At 12:13 on this Tuesday, who thought that you have to be a U.S. citizen to vote in a Rhode Island election? I'm going to raise my hand. I thought that until I started to dig and realize there were all these people voting. And then Erickson, he lets the cat out of the bag. Oh, no, we never required proof of citizenship. Well, then there you go. He just confirmed what we have been alleging all along. And by the way, there's not like 100 illegals on the voter rolls. There's thousands of illegals on the voter rolls. But films like that just came out, 2,000 Mules, see, they don't like any talk of that. Ballot harvesting is big business in Rhode Island. It's how the campaigns are done. I fully get a lot of people don't fully understand the whole element. I think one of the best examples that proves just how strong ballot harvesting is, folks, and let me be very clear, I'm against this. There are many states that outlaw it. They only like to highlight the states that allow it. It is so filled with abuse in our state. And I think the best example, as I've talked about, is, and I like her, by the way, but notice Ashley Kalis, the new kid in the class, doesn't understand how it operates. She's the only one up on TV, right? Helena Foulkes could be up on TV. Helena Foulkes has more money than anyone. She's got $1.5 million. She's not up on TV. Nope. Seth Magaziner could be up on TV. He could be up on TV. They all could. McKee has money. He could. See, they're all paying per vote now. And that's not good for democracy. That's not good for our elections. I go and vote. Many of you go and vote. That's not how they operate. But I want to take exception with Kathy Gregg of the Providence Journal mentioned in the op-ed, she referenced how the Providence Journal, in their story, how the Providence Journal, how they say that they were people who requested mail ballots. Now, again, Kathy Gregg is a very good reporter, so don't get me wrong. I'm not in any way taking a shot at Kathy Gregg of the Providence Journal, but what I'm trying to point out is that that's by design. There's part of the equation that they leave out is the registering to vote. So they register people to vote. So it's and I recognize not everyone's on Twitter, but I try to lay some of this stuff out. I also want to remind people, last night there was someone that, again, I feel like whenever you're trying to draw attention to this, there are people that just bring you backwards. And there was someone that on Twitter now that said, "Oh yeah, dead people voting." And folks, if you continue to say that, you're not paying attention. If you continue to say that, you're not paying attention. They're alive. This has nothing to do with dead people. No, it's just that was easier. That was easier to control. These people are alive that are doing this, that are voting. This is not this business that whenever someone writes that, I feel they're not paying attention to the equation. But I want to come back to it, and I want to get the exact quote because that whether people realize it or not, that's where this is not a good thing. In a huge part of the problem is the Rhode Island officials that could change it are not changing it. They're adapting to it. They're adapting to it. They're they're just playing along with the game. That also that also really came to light with that Jeff Britt trial. The Jeff Britt trial where that showed that Mattiello, the most powerful, the speaker, he didn't say, "Hey, wait a minute, I found a loophole here. We need to try to close that loophole." He just said, "I want to make sure I hire the right people, and I want to make sure that we hire the right people so that we can also exploit this." So that's not the right way. So here it is, where someone sent me a message saying, we want to take voting rights away from dead people, make people show ID to cast a vote. Well, I guess that kind of plays into it, but it's really not. It's what they actually do is, and I've kind of explained this in long form places, where what they actually do is they register the person to vote. Then they tell that person, "Do you want me to get you a mail ballot?" So the way it was reported by Kathy Gregg yesterday, and again, I'm not in any way, this isn't criticism of her, but they leave out part of the equation. They say that this worker that was paid $17 per ballot, that the worker, there were people that requested mail ballots. So then they're using a list of voters who had requested mail ballots, went door to door. What they leave out is that the person was actually even registering them to vote. So it goes to another level. So, but I want to touch on the illegal thing. 2000 Mules, that film that I know a number of people have watched. I did speak to someone. Well, there's two things. Number one, like a lot of sometimes these people that come out with this stuff, they have to take it a step too far. And whatever they made some claims in the film that apparently can't be backed up. And because of that, Tucker Carlson won't have them on to promote the film. And in Newsmax, I spoke to someone at Newsmax and they walked me through, and it's too bad because it's like if the people would just go with the information they have, it's enough. But they have to go to the next level and they have to bring it in more and more. They feel they need to put more ingredients into it, so to speak, when they don't need to. But then as a result of it, because of the extra stuff they put in that they can't back up, a lot of people hesitate to have the film. But that's on the filmmaker, but that film, any film article that will discuss how ballot harvesting is done, I'm in favor of. But I'm also gonna share with you some of the bad news in just a moment, folks. This portion of the John DePetro show, it's actually all bad news. But it's brought to you by R.E. Coogan Heating, 401-732-6562. It's Kogi. Now remember, we're transitioning, right? Winter, spring, then into summer. Plumbing, heating, and cooling. Helpful, trustworthy, reliable. As Coog says, let us into your home. Don't fix it alone. R.E. Coogan Heating, 401-732-6562. Or maybe hot water tank goes, so you have a plumbing problem. Call Coogie, 401-732-6562. Folks, as always, visit our website, depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Centerdale Revival, comfort food and cocktails. Stop in and see them, 2025 Smith Street, North Providence. Delicious food and drink, and it's a nice crowd. I'll see you at the Centerdale Revival. Well, and there's two different factions to this voting thing that are a problem. And I'm telling you right now, it's a problem. And I don't know if there's a way to address it. And that is, well, here's the real story. I've wondered why. I have wondered why. I'm going to give it to you in piecemeal. All right. And it's at 12:22 on this Tuesday. It's important, though. But it's important for you to understand. I have to admit, I haven't, I couldn't understand why certain people would not approach the voting story more aggressively. Certain reporters, and also certain individuals that know a lot about it. Now, one I could invite on, I've had him on in the past. I like him. I respect him. His name is Ken Block. For different reasons, Ken Block, who's very knowledgeable on voting, he won't fully jump in on this stuff right now. He won't. But here's the larger part. Unfortunately, and it's not fair, you have someone like a Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, right? Who he takes voting very seriously. They are making voting in Florida accountable, right? Since 2000, the famous Al Gore, George Bush, as a result of that, Florida's really cleaned up voting. They want it to be authentic elections. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, Florida right now actually is considered like the #1 state for election security. Rhode Island's at the bottom of the pack, right? Rhode Island is like third world. But anyhow, DeSantis, as many of you know, he's even started a commission just to look into that. This morning on social media, someone said to me, let's start a lawsuit. Start a lawsuit against who? See, in Rhode Island, I don't even know who you call. If you feel someone is doing something illegal, you call the police, they're going to hang up on you. You call the state police, they don't do anything. No one does anything. No one knows what to do. And the thing is, the Democrat Party, they know that. But DeSantis recognizes the importance. He has started a separate bureau that's who you call. And they want elections that are transparent. But here's a problem that we face in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, in Connecticut, but really Rhode Island and Mass. And that is anyone that talks about elections, the media, they lump in that, oh, those are Trump people. Oh, and that's, they're trying to overturn an election. And they're parroting, quote, the big lie. Now, none of that is true, but that becomes the talking point. Now, our local media, who are all, I don't think I have to break the news to you, they're all anti-Trump. They certainly don't want to be accused of that. They don't want to be labeled that way. So it's interesting to me what the Democrat Party has done, because if you look at the comments that I did, from yesterday, we're referencing a special election in 2017. And what do they say? Someone trying to overturn an election. We're not trying to overturn an election. I'm not trying to overturn an election. It makes one thing that none of them want to acknowledge is, how does it make sense that one person can deliver 230 votes and be paid $17 a vote? Does that sound like a recipe for disaster, a recipe for fraud, a recipe? The system shouldn't operate that way. We're not talking about a family member. We're not talking about, your grandmother's in a nursing home and then you go. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, there's nothing, as I have talked about, they never want to address that. They'll talk about everything other than that. And yesterday, a number of the people that were squawking, oh, here we go. They're parroting the big lie. This is the Trump stuff. This is dangerous for democracy. They want to overturn elections. This is the big blah, blah. They never address. No one's talking about overturning an election. We're talking about closing loopholes. Both sides, by the way. Now, but a couple things about this. What's really interesting to me is the head of the Board of Elections admits that they don't even check on citizenship. So that once again reinforces to me that, first of all, several things. Number one, anyone can register to vote. That's impossible. No, it's not. No one is turned away. Anyone that gets a license is automatically in the voter rolls. How many times do you see illegals and they have a license? Now, I know there's talk they want to give them a license. They're still getting licenses. They may be getting them illegally, but they're still getting them. The guy that killed that woman last Saturday in the hit and run, he had a Massachusetts license. So, so the problem is, as I have laid out for you, it's it's either exactly as I thought or maybe even worse than I thought. But the fact that the Board of Elections admits that they don't even check on citizenship, right? And that's why I pointed out in my op-ed in the Providence Journal why Nellie Gorbea and this woman who's the head of the Board of Elections, they consistently use the phrase Rhode Islanders. We want to make it easy for Rhode Islanders to vote. Rhode Islanders to vote. And as I've talked about, I was at that press conference. Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos said, if someone comes here from another country, boom, automatically they're a Rhode Islander. The moment they arrive at TF Green Airport, the moment they drive over the Providence line from wherever, the moment their ship or barge pulls up, the moment they parachute in, however the hell they get here, back of a truck, boom, you're a Rhode Islander. So what do they say? All Rhode Islanders should vote. And there on the Facebook page, the head of the Board of Elections, we never ask for verification on citizenship. So, folks, it stands to reason why, as I have told you, there are illegals registering voting in Rhode Island elections. But I want to go a step farther. They're not voting. Their information is used to cast a ballot, place a vote. Their information is. I've told the story years ago. I had an older relative who lived in Providence who passed away. And this goes back when during the time that John Lombardi, for a very short amount of time, was mayor, I was able to look, and there it is. Even though she had passed away in the 90s, she was still voting in elections. So, and then when I contacted them, oh, no, we must have made a mistake. Now, again, that's an example of the dead person. My point is, they have it loose by design. It's not an error. It's not incompetence. They have it loose by design. But right now, it should not be lost on people. I'm going to stick with the Ashley Kalus example. She's up on television. Let's talk about that for a moment. Why is she up on television? Because she, that was the old way. You watch the news. Hey, I like that commercial. Maybe I'll vote for that person. Maybe I'll learn more about that person. Oh, okay, I've heard about that person, right? Now, the problem with that is there's such a wild card of whether or not, number one, they're actually going to vote, or two, then they're going to vote for you. So what the campaigns have done, and they're doing, is they don't want to deal with that. They want, boom, identify a person, get a name, register them to vote, put them on the voter roll, and then turn in a ballot with their name on it. Like I said, if they move, if they get deported, if they vote another state, they don't care. You can't imagine how little they care. All that counts is the campaign worker has the ballot and they get paid $17 or $18 or $20 or $15, whatever the hell they decide on. And then they get paid, stamp, there it is. All right, so Harry brought in, or whatever, Juan brought in 1,000, and we pumped, 1,000 ballots, and we promised him $20 a ballot. So even though it's easy, so they're sitting there with the calculator, and they say 20 times 1,000 ballots. All right, give Juan $20,000. Boom. That's how it works. Now, there was a report that Ashley Kalus spent $100,000 on television. Okay, maybe she thinks that's a good use of money. That's debatable. Let's do divide by 17 under their way. If she had put that money on the street, she could have gotten 5,800 guaranteed votes. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot. That's all you get is 5,800 votes. It doesn't sound like a lot, except it's guaranteed. There's no guarantee when you run those television commercials that any of those people are going to vote or that they're actually even seeing the commercial. For the first time, I saw her commercial the other day in the Celtics game. But when I went to that forum the other day, the Republican Party people that I saw, they were all surprised. Yep, she's the only one up on TV. Yep, she's the only one running commercials. Gee, I wonder why that is. Because, folks, let's right now at 12:32, let's do the math. You get someone and they say, I will deliver for you, but I want $20 a ballot. You say, $20 a ballot? That's too much. 15 a ballot. All right, I'll do it for 15 a ballot. Good. All right. $1 million divided by $15 a ballot. That person will deliver 66,000. It's all 666, but almost 67,000 votes. 67,000. Now, here's the thing. 67,000 guaranteed votes. Guaranteed votes. Not hoping someone likes. See, what they have done is it doesn't matter what your policies are. Do you understand that? It doesn't matter if you have a plan on the economy, on jobs, or education. None of that matters because it's not being decided that way. It's all being decided on the ground game. All of it. Now, I just want to let's look at Gina Raimondo, and I realize I'm doing this live. And folks, I'll even say this. I guarantee you no one else is talking about this. Not that they shouldn't be, but they should be, but no one will talk about this. So let me hold on. I want to just get the numbers. All right, bear with me. It's 12:34. You're listening to the John DePetro Show. Folks, because I guarantee you this thing is going to explode. It's a ticking time bomb. And none of them are going to, no one wants to deal with it. No one wants to, here we go. So think of this. In 2018, Gina Raimondo got 57% of the vote. Ready? 66,000 votes. 66,784. Matt Brown got 39,000 votes. 33% of the vote. Spencer Dickinson got 10,000 votes. 9% of the ballots. Raimondo pulled 15,000 votes out of Providence. Raimondo pulled 15,000 votes out of Providence. She grabbed 5,000 out of, watch this, 5,000 out of Warwick, 3,000 out of Cranston. You're at 8,000. 3,000 out of East Providence. You're at 11. 3,000 out of Pawtucket. You're at 14. And she grabbed 1,000 out of Johnston. Think what it took to match that Providence vote total of 15,000. You needed Warwick, Cranston, East Providence, Pawtucket, right there. That's what her big vote totals that she was able to grab like that, just to equal Providence, as a matter of fact. Right around there, as a matter of fact. 12, make that 13, right around. Pawtucket, you'd have to win Warwick, Cranston, East Providence, Pawtucket, grab all those votes out of that. Folks, my point is, so in other words, you take 1 million votes, and that's how many you could get. And she won the primary. Now, in a look at the primary for governor. McKee, Gorbea, Folks, Matt Brown. I'm not really including the other guy, but those four. So how many votes do you need to win the primary? So in 2018, you had Raimondo, Matt Brown around, that's actually a lot. You had about 110,000 people vote in the primary. So she won overwhelmingly with 66,000. You don't need that many. Not in a scattered primary in that way. So you only need maybe 35, 40,000. So 40,000 40,000. Let me just do this. 40,000. Let's just say, you know what? I'm going to pay $20 a ballot. So you only need 2,000 votes. No. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. 40,000 votes. 20 times. How much that I'm trying to do how much it'll cost you. How much it'll cost you. Yeah. In order to get that. It would cost you not a lot of money, right? If you do 20 times, that's what I meant, 40,000. So, well, it's 800,000. So if you put up 800,000, it can buy you 40,000 votes. That's what I was trying to do. I apologize, folks. Now listen, at 12:38, I fully get this seems very inside, but this is how elections are being decided. This is how elections are being decided. And I am telling you right now, and I recognize a lot of it, no one else is. I'm aware of that. You know why? Because the rest of the media, they don't want to be lumped in. It's now become that if you talk about election loopholes, they would say to someone, whatever, at a newspaper or television, say, "Oh, I didn't know you were a Trump supporter. Oh, I didn't know you were deplorable." And they say that in a negative way, right? They never want to be considered that. So it shouldn't be that way. What's the answer? Someone asked me. They need to get rid of the third-party handling of these ballots, of votes. Someone shouldn't be handling 1,000 votes. Someone should not be handling 500 votes, 1,000 votes. Shouldn't be going on that way. That's not an election. That's not an election based on ideas. And instead, they like to say it's an attack on democracy. They're trying to overturn the election. No, you shouldn't even talk about it. Yesterday I was being labeled dangerous on Twitter. He's dangerous for talking about how voting, that's dangerous talk. You don't even talk about it. They're such frauds. You know what's dangerous? The fact they have to put up fencing around the Supreme Court. That's dangerous. The fact that activists are going to judges' homes. That's dangerous. Rioting, burning, looting all the major cities. That's dangerous. That's how desperate and disgraceful this Democrat Party has become. And in Rhode Island, they're all playing the game. But remember, Gorbea and her former chief of staff, he's running for mayor of Providence. They feel they have the inside track. Folks, look what happened Saturday. Now, that horse, to me, that won the Kentucky Derby, whatever drug they're using on that horse, they're masking it because it passed the drug test. There's no way a horse that is 80-1 comes out of nowhere. All those horses are exhausted at the end. One horse, 80-1, that no one's ever heard of, gallops to the finish line. They drug tested it. It passed the drug test. You know what that tells me? They have a masking agent that is masking whatever drug. There's no way that was a legitimate race. No way. The horse that they were all picking came in second. No way. At some point, mark my words, they'll catch up with that horse and that trainer. 100%. Come on. 80-1? No way. Nope. But see, it doesn't mean they're not using something. It just means they're taking something to mask it. That was the whole Belko. That was the baseball scandal, right? Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa. It doesn't mean you don't take the steroids. It means you take something to mask it and nullify it. In a lot of with the drug testing, and I'm not trying to go off on a ramble here, but a lot of times the drug testing, it doesn't mean you can't have something in your system. It just has to be below a certain level. What do I mean by that? If you get pulled over for drunk driving and you were drinking, you're out. You have 2 drinks and they pull you over and you blow 0.06 in the breathalyzer. You're below 0.08. You're fine. Remember, drunk driving doesn't mean you can't drink. You just have to be below 0.08. You could blow a 0.07. All right, he's fine. He's not 08, right? Maybe he had 3 drinks. Maybe the food absorbed it, whatever it is. So when they test, just as an example, the horse, it doesn't mean they don't have drugs in the system. They're just below the certain level. So, all right, folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show, now that we're talking about the Kentucky Derby, is brought by J. Perry Paving. They provide high quality, fair pricing, exceptional service, 20 years experience, specialized in commercial paving. Listen, this is really simple. On this Tuesday, May 10th, have you thought, maybe it's time to get the driveway paved? I have who you want to call. Are you ready? Letter J, J. Perry Paving, 401 732 1730. 401 732 1730. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. Licensed and insured contracting company. Whether it's a brand new paving project or just a cracked driveway, it's J. Perry Paving. Affordable, smooth, safe to drive on. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. 401 732 1730. What I wanted to say was, when the race is over, boom, there's the winner of the Kentucky Derby. Now, they still have to, the horse apparently passed the drug test. My point is, on election night, if Nellie Gorbea's fist is lifted in the air, right, Channel 10, Channel 12 are projecting Nellie Gorbea has won the Democrat primary, boom, the rest of them all concede. And the thing about the way they do the ballot boxes, right, that are in all the 39 cities and towns, where they're different than mail ballots, is those drop box votes are counted in real time. Meaning they're counted, if they start counting them leading up to the election. So if you put a ballot in a drop box the Monday before the election, they count it. And then when someone goes to vote on Tuesday, that's counted. So it's in real time. They've done away with, it's a tight election, candidate, whoever is up by 100 votes, they're going to go to the mail ballots. It doesn't work that way. The drop boxes, they're counted in real time. And notice Gorbea wants to push to get it moved up from when people can start the early voting. Why do you think that is? So they can flood in more ballots. Watch the movie 2000 Mules. I don't know about everything in the movie, but anything that draws attention to the ballot harvesting that goes on, how they manipulate it, it's all right there. They also, as I have told you, the real mechanism, and folks, it's complicated. It is. But as I've told you, the real mechanism and the way they game the system here is the fact that, and again, at 1245, you're listening to the John DePetro Show on AM 1380 and 99.9 FM. I've learned this over the past few years. Over the past few years, it's really gone to another level, right? When people say, "Oh, I was in a race in 1962," John Chafee, we're not talking about that. Okay, they've gone to another level. This is not about showing ID at the polls. I hope people understand that. If you watch 2000 Mules, does that matter if anyone was showing ID at the polls? They're deciding the election before the polls even open on election day. The 2000 Mules and what I've been talking about, that has nothing to do with dead people voting. Anyone that is saying those things is not paying attention to how the game is now being run. It's not being run that way. They've moved on. They constantly maneuver, shift, they adapt. But here's the thing. The person, this is so important. If you take away at 1246 anything I say on this Tuesday, anything you hear, just take away this. Nellie Gorbea, the Board of Elections, they love to say you have to fill out a form and says, "I here swear by penalty of perjury, I am a citizen of Rhode Island and the citizen of the United States." They love to point to that. That's very severe penalty. Gorbea wrote that. That's a very severe penalty. Folks, in the last 25 years, not one person has been charged with filling that out improperly. Now, it could be even longer, but I know for a fact, a person at the Board of Elections told me, in the last 25 years, not one person has been charged with that. Now, recently, because of Florida and Illinois, they caught 3 people that voted twice. They voted in Florida, Rhode Island, 2 of them, and then Illinois, Rhode Island. But those states caught them, not Rhode Island. And even then, they didn't charge the perjury felony for that. They got charged that they put it in the mail, and then it's mail fraud. So my point is, this is it doesn't even have to say that. No, and here's the thing, no one checks that. No one checks that. You could have 10,000 people fill out, I am a citizen of the United States. I live in Rhode Island. All a lie. One person, 10,000 of them. The only thing you need is an X. An X should not qualify as a signature. An X should not qualify as a signature. If you can't write your name, then you can't vote. Who can't write their name? People that don't speak English. People that are illiterate. More people that can't. But it's there by design. It's by design. Now, I don't want someone to jump on. He just said someone that can't write their name can't vote. Well, they're exploiting that. They're exploiting that because there's no way an X looks like an X. If you write, Donald Trump has a very specific, and everyone has a specific signature. They don't try to mimic that. They don't have to. They just, so if you have 10,000 voter registration forms, 10,000, one person fills out 10,000 with an X and 10,000 names, someone would say, they just broke the law 10,000 times. You're right, except no one's even checking it. No one's even looking for it. There's no mechanism to check it. What do you see around, how about all the tickets that are being given out around the school zones, right? Get an automatic ticket. Oh, you're speeding near a school zone. What happened before they put in the speeding zones? People were speeding. Now, all these people are getting flagged. You don't even have the cop out there. They get your plate. Boom, you were speeding in a speed zone. Now, could they put that in Rhode Island? Of course they could, but they don't. Let me ask you this. At 12:49, does that make sense? Anyone, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, communist, socialist, does anyone believe that in the last 25 years, no one who either lives in another country or lives in another state lied and tried to register to vote in Rhode Island? Is there anyone that actually believes that? So we're to believe so no one in the last 25 years filled out a form and checked, yes, I'm a citizen of the United States, and yes, I live in Rhode Island. Not one person in 25 years. Now, I find that impossible to believe. I find it, you know what? It is impossible to believe. But the point is, if you don't look, right, you sit in that rowboat and you have your fishing pole. If the line never goes in the water, not often are fish jumping out into the boat to try to get your bait, right? If you don't, no one's speeding by the school zone. Do you have a radar gun out there? No. Is there a cop out there? No. How do you know no one's speeding? Well, we haven't given out a ticket. Folks, they're counting on that. They don't want to find, you know what? Here's another part of this that the media doesn't talk about. See, Nellie Gorbea, what's dangerous is talking about voter fraud. What's dangerous is talking about ballot harvesting because that frightens people, right? That frightens people. They don't want campaign workers hearing that they caught a campaign worker and they forged ballots and they got arrested and they're in jail and they go to jail. They certainly don't want that. That'd be bad for business, right? That would put a crimp in business. What happens when there are criminals? If they hear that somebody got nabbed for that, they back off. So therefore, they don't want anyone discussing it. They don't want anyone talking about it. It's not lost on me that the 3 individuals that they did catch that voted twice in the 2020 election, none of them were in Providence, Pawtucket, or Central Falls, the hub. But the real hub is Providence. The real hub is where they bury the votes in Providence. Think of that. Raimondo pulled 15,000 votes, supposedly, out of Providence in the 2018 primary. That's a lot of votes. That's bigger than the population of East Greenwich, for crying out loud. And then Matt Brown grabbed, whatever he grabbed, 6,000, whatever. So you're going to see much more of this. In the Senate, they passed it, this voting. And you know what's ironic is who passed it? That senator from Newport who exploited the system and had one campaign worker deliver 230 votes. She got her bill passed in the Senate, and now it's aimed for the House. Now, I'm told it's going to pass in the House. If that passes in the House, I don't have to tell you how detrimental this will be to the Rhode Island elections. Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show is brought to you by the Cowesett Inn, 226 Cowesett Avenue in West Warwick. Lunch or dinner or drinks in the lounge. A great meal's waiting for you at the Cowesett Inn. Folks, good afternoon at 12:53. It's John DePetro on this Tuesday. I care about this. Many of you, if you listen to the program, know I've interviewed people from different states. I've interviewed election experts. I'll also tell you this. I am not new to the game here. I have been talking about this since November of 2020. I have been saying that the top priority for the Rhode Island Republican Party, of which I like the folks that are in the party. I respect the folks that are in the Rhode Island Republican Party. I try to be supportive of the individuals that work within the Rhode Island Republican Party. But since November of 2020, I have been repeatedly, consistently saying the most important office for the Republicans to run someone, a very strong candidate, is Secretary of State. So when people are asking, how do we change this? You have to get control of that office. You have to, because they recognize the power base of it. Nellie Gorbea, the current Secretary of State, she should not be running for governor. Does anyone really think she's going to lose the primary? She's running the blanking election. It's just, now afterwards, people be upset, people explode, blah, blah, blah. But would you coach a game for your team if the ref is the coach of the team? It should not, no one is saying this. I don't have an answer for you on why. But the person running the election should not be part of the election. Because there's no way she's going to lose the election. No way. How come she's not running TV ads? It's all on the ground. It's all ground game votes. The person running the election, it shouldn't even be a new concept, should not be part of the election process. Now, other states, Florida, have tightened and improved voting. Right? What's amazing is the Democrat Party said they're restricting voting. No, they're restricting cheating is what they're doing. Georgia has, Texas has, Arizona has, a lot of states have. You have to adapt, right? You have to adapt. The way thieves steal now is much different than how they stole years ago. Years ago, people used to go into a bank. Now there's a lot of banking fraud that takes place online. Now they try to hack into different things. There's a lot of online scams and things like that. Criminals adapt. Criminals find new ways. Criminals don't just, the old walk into a liquor store with a sawed-off shotgun. Now they steal money online. They hack into people's accounts and steal the money. Right? Law enforcement has to adapt to crime. And the same thing goes for voting. What's consistent about the Democrat Party is they want total free. Oh, no, everyone should be allowed to vote. Why would that be? Who would that benefit? No one should be challenged. Anyone should be able to vote. Same-day registration, early voting. Everybody, all the mail ballots. Throw it all in. We have illegitimate elections. This has nothing to do with President Trump. This has nothing to do with President Trump. It has nothing to do with President Trump. It has nothing to do with George Soros. Has nothing to do with Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell. We're talking about how they manipulate elections in the smallest state. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. And anyone that doesn't take a ride to Providence, look at all those triple deckers. They're pulling votes out of them. People, I think President Trump won Rhode Island. I think you need to lie on a couch and talk to someone. You're not listening. They need to clean up the voter rolls. As I've said in the past, if they would clean up the voter rolls, we'd be like New Hampshire. We'd be closer to New Hampshire. Over this next election, when people talk about civil war, that's what's going to bring it on. Is there are people voting who should not be voting. And the former head of the Board of Elections said, we never check citizenship. Nellie Gorbea, every Rhode Islander should be allowed to vote. Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos, if you come to this state from another country, you're a Rhode Island citizen. She actually said that. I'll play it next hour. Folks, this portion of the John DePetro Show, brought to you by Lawn Doctor, your best lawn ever, guaranteed. Go online. They have a great website, lawndoctor.com, 401-392-1025. You can call them for a quick, easy quote. But right now, get part of their service program. They come out, which they did early spring. They'll be back for the spring line, late spring. They come in the summertime, grub prevention, early fall, and then late fall. Lawn Doctor of Rhode Island, online at lawndoctor.com. Folks, we're going to be coming up on 12:59. Now, we have another full hour to go. I think it's important. And I think people have to be aware, especially, I don't understand the silence going on at the Rhode Island State House from the House. I don't get that at all. The big three, Filippi, Chippendale, Newberry, crickets, all silent. Unless they're planning something, the Democrats are going to ram this through. And then, then people get frustrated. Then people sit on their hands. What's the point of voting in a rigged election? That'd be like, who wants to lose their money in a rigged card game or a rigged game? Like I've said, when you go to Twin River, sometimes it's 21, other times it's 20, sometimes it's 22. You don't find out till after, they call what it is. All right, we're going to break for the 1 o'clock news. Power Hour is next. Radio only, AM 1380, 99.9 FM. I have a lot of sound to play. We'll be back on the other side after the 1 o'clock news.